Hi friends, coming to the next topic in subject data structure, there is a introduction to programming methodologies. So, what are the different type of the methodologies that we can use to create or to write the program? A programming methodology deals with the analysis. The first, it deals with the analysis, design and implementation of program. So, the programming methodologies deals with the analysis. It deals with analysis, design and implementation of program. So, the good pro so sorry. So the good program consists of algorithm and data structure. So I already explained algorithm is step by step procedure which is having some finite sequence of instructions. Sorry instruction to solve a problem. So solve any complex real life problem. First you need to analysis define the problem. Define a problem. Analysis define problem. First you need to analysis define problem. In the analysis, after that you need to design algorithm. Design algorithm. Algorithm. After that, implementation. Implementation means writing and executing program. Implementation means writing and executing program. Program. So, to solve any complex real-time problem, whatever the problem taken, so that problem you can deal a first step to you have to define the problem so that you can analysis, and the next you have to design and the algorithm. Okay, so whatever the problem that you defined based on that problem, you're trying to design the algorithm means writing some step by step procedure so that you can understand what exactly the problem was. So after trying to implement, so by seeing that algorithm to write the code and then executing the program. Now let us see what are steps for create the program. Steps for creating program. So in this video I just give you the basic how can create the program. So next video I have explained different program methodologies. So starting, you have take any problem that may be the methodologies model or maybe informal algorithm is just problem which is having no idea, means just representation. It's try to representation of problem using some models, and here solution of the problem expressed in informal very informal. First you need to analysis, means define the problem. In the analysis, after that you need design the algorithm. After that, implementation means writing and executing program. Mathematical model or maybe informal mode algorithm. After that you need to convert formal language. This methodological model informal algorithm. After that you need to convert formal language. You need to convert that mathematical model into formal language and try to write pseudo language. So after that you are trying to convert into program, writing data structure trying to write to program or C and C++ programs. So this in how to create this is how to create a program. First you have to define the problem, means define the problem in this analysis. After that you need to design algorithm. And after that implementation means writing and executing program. So writing and executing will be done by using the data structure or C and C++ program. So this is a way to create a program. So the first stage try to represent a problem using mathematical model such as graph, trees, and whatever. The format you can represent the problem. Here the solution of the problem to the problem represent sorry the problem expressed is very informal. Next, coming to this here the algorithm written in formal language like pseudo language program, that is mixture of any programming language, and pseudo code means mixture of any programming language and less formal English statement. Next, in a data structure, so whatever the formal statement still remaining, those are replaced with C and C++ code. There is a program. So different programming methodologies will be there to design a problem program, that is procedure module structure and object oriented. So those methodologies I explain in video. What are the different programming methodologies to design a program or problem? So these these are one uh, one is a procedural programming, second modular programming, third structured programming, and fourth object oriented programming. So these are the these are the four different programming methodologies which use in design any problem. What are the problem you sorry the problem your program, you can take a problem or program. So let us see the first procedural programming. Procedural programming. So the here is saying procedural, procedural nothing but is use a such program routine or method. So whatever the program you have taken, that program you call it as a procedure a program. Just take a main program. If you take any main program, main program, the main program will be divided into procedure sorry procedure A procedure B and procedure C. Main different procedure, you are dividing the program into procedures like just program, subprogram, routines, or call even a method. A procedure also a method. So I can, if you can divide a procedure B, divide procedure B into a you having subprogram procedure X or procedure Y. So here the most of the function, so this procedure then other name for procedures subprogram, or you call it as routines, or you can call it is a method, or even you call it is a function. So here all these most of functions shares a global data. A global data will be shared because once in a main program. So, global data global data you before the main program just declare the global data. So this data will be shared that by all procedure. So that is a main thing is the procedural programming. The programming always used to main global data. It's always prefer to go with the global data. So that is the first programming methodologies, procedure programming. Okay. Now let us see second programming methodologies. What is the second programming methodologies? That is modular programming. So what is modular programming? In the procedural programming, we are divide the main program called the subprogram. So just using the function just call the subprograms. Then what are the modular programming? Here a program is progressively decomposed into smaller partitions called modules. So what even the program that you have taken, that program will be divided into smaller program. So program program will be divided into small program. Small program. Okay, so small program again finally completely combined into one main program. So a modular program, this called as modules. So modules, this is modules, a smaller program module. So a program is progressively decomposed into smaller partitions called modules. So what even the program that you have taken, that program will be divided into a small program. So a small program again finally complete combine into one main program. So finally complete into one main program. The main program. A modular programming, these call its modulars. So if you take any program, let's take this is the program. There is a main program. Take this is the program. Program. A main program consists of data. This is main program data. Program data. Data. Main program data. A main program consists of data. So here main program divide into module 1, module 1 and decomposed into module 2. Module 2. So we are going to solve the problem by decomposed the large problem into a small problem. So after solving small problems, you try to integrate all the modules and try to give the final output. So in the module 1 it is going to use main data as well as sub data. Going to main data and sub data. Data 1 and the data 1, and here also main data and module 2 divide main data and data 2. So this module consists of procedure 1, and this again divide into two functions, procedure 2 and procedure 3. So main data and sub data. So this module consists procedure 1. So consists procedure 1, and this again divide into two functions, procedure 2 and 3. So then divide procedure 2 and procedure 3. Module 1 can have a function like procedure 1. So this is a modular programming. A program is progressively decomposed into smaller partitions called modules. Here just say the step develop a modular programming. Let me write the step to modular programming. So first step is the first define the problem. Next you need to outline the program. The steps needed to the bold, and the next is decompose the problem into subtasks. Module 1 decompose the problem into subtasks. Module 1 and module 2. And the fourth step, prototype a subprogram for each subtask. What operation it is going to be performed, like that the data 1, the main data and sub data. Main data and sub data. Fifth step, repeat step third and fourth for each sub-program until further decomposition. So these are the steps followed by developing program. First, define the problem. Second, outline. And third, decompose the problem into subtasks. And fourth, prototype a subprogram for each subtask. And fifth, repeat step 3 and 4 for each subtask until further decomposition. So this modular programming is heavily programming procedure, and it can be used a top-down approach and as well as bottom-down approach. So top-down and as well as bottom bottom up approach. So you can design those modular programming by using top down and bottom down approach. Now let us see the third programming methodologies, that is structured programming. So what is the use of structured programming? What we are doing in structured programming? The structured programming is not a simply programming with structure. So whenever you thought that structured programming, you think it is a programming with structures, but it is not like the structured programming is not programming with structures, but by using different type of code structures to write programs. So what are the different type of code structure? We used to develop structure programming. So those are sequentially executed sequence of sequentially executed statement. And next we use some code structures like conditional execution of a statement, just like if statement, if statement, like that. And that remaining code structures of looping or iteration, looping or iteration. So just like for loop, while, for while, and do while. So these are different looping and iteration, and even use a structured subroutine calls. So that is nothing but functions, right? Functions. So the structure program can be developed by using sequence of sequentially executed statement, conditional execution of a statement, looping or iterations, structured subroutine calls. But in the style of programming is a great risk in implementation. So what is great risk in implementation? The main disadvantage the using structured programming is that all decisions has to made the start the project on. So whatever the decision you are going to, that creator decision has to be taken the start of your project. So that the structured programming. Now let me explain a fourth methodologies, programming methodologies. What is that? Object oriented programming. So this is one of the most and everyone following this object oriented programming. The object oriented programming treats data as critical. Object oriented programming treats data as a critical object critical programming development. So what we are data, we are using that data as critical element in program development and does allow it to follow freely around the system. So it doesn't allow to run that to use the data in entire system, means it is making the data as a private and it is making the it not giving a declaring data as a global data. So the object oriented programming treats the object oriented programming treats data as critical element in program development and does not allow it to flow freely around the system. So here in object oriented we are using the objects. So here object A and here the object B. Sorry. Object A and object B. So this object A consists of data, this particular object data and related function. Data and related function. And here this object be having its own data and relative functions. Having data and function. So this both will communicate object based communication with object A, means the object C and data and relative function. These both will communicate object based communication with object A. Communication. 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 So object B and C communicate. So this is about the object oriented programming. So these are the different programming methodologies that we follow while we writing a program. Whether you can choose a procedural programming methodologies, or if you want you choosing the modular programming or structured programming or object oriented programming methodologies. Thank you.